Okay, this is the affirmative rebuttal to Connor's negative video. For my affirmative, that we should go to the moon to harvest water as a new source of potable water. He first addresses my point that the Earth is running out of water by saying that the Earth is covered in water. 71% of the Earth's surface is water. Yes, that is a fact. The Earth is covered in mostly water, 71%. I will agree with that fact. However, my point was that we weren't running out of water, we were running out of fresh water, is what I stated. We're running out of potable water sources. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, that the Earth is covered in about 71% of water. However, only about 2.5% of that water is fresh water that we are able to turn into potable water. And of that 2.5%, only 30% of it is fresh water that's even obtainable, that isn't frozen in polar ice caps, and that isn't so far under the ground that we can't drill wells deep enough to get it. That's purely just lakes and man-made reservoirs and the rain that, precipitation that we get a year. So yeah, there's plenty of water, but it's not obtainable. It would he talks about, I think that leads into desalination. Yeah, desalination is oh, the other, what does it say? The other he talks about that there's a source of water that is truly drought proof. He talks about the oceans being truly drought proof. No. If I mean, it's inevitable that if we were to start desalinating seawater, it might be several hundred years from now, but eventually we would run out of water, and not only before we run out of water, we would definitely see huge damage to the fish, to the ecosystem that lives beneath the water's surface. There's, I mean, we only know of, um, according to was it National Geographic, I believe, that there's still species that live under the water that we don't know about, that we don't even know exist, because we find new species of plankton and bacteria all the time. So, I mean, if we were to start desalinating water, we would be draining water that is closest to the Earth's, or to the coastline. He talks about that they're technologically getting advanced, and they're thinking about sticking the pipes, the suction pipes, further out into the ocean to prevent sucking in fish, which is a huge problem with desalination. That would be great, but you would still, there's still life out there. Unless you found a spot of the ocean that has no life at all, that is not an ecosystem, then yeah, desalination could work in that case, but you won't find it. There's life everywhere under the in the ocean. You will eventually disrupt some ecosystem, or you will eventually kill off a certain species. Um, Another thing is that, well, like I was saying, that I never argued that we were running out of, water. It was just that we were running out of fresh water. Desalination, yeah, but there's still problems with it. There's no sure way that it doesn't disrupt an ecosystem. If we were to go to the moon for water, there is no ecosystem on the moon. There's just dust, and it's cold, and giant layers of ice underneath the surface. So if we were to go up to the moon and start taking some ice from there and bringing it back here, it's a potable source of water that is not on the Earth, that doesn't disrupt any ecosystem. So no one is harmed in this process. Um, it might cost a little bit more than desalination, but for the sake of, life, it doesn't affect a certain species at all. He also talks about 15 proposed desalination plants in California. Those 15 proposed sites have been proposed for decades. They won't happen because of, like I stated, the technology is not there yet. It still damages any ecosystem within its grasp, within the section, to draw water in. We've been in droughts, severe droughts, for almost 4 or 5 years now, and those sites are still being proposed. We're in a severe drought, and they're not putting it forward. That just goes to show that we're not ready for it. We've shut down desalination plants, in fact, because it costs too much money. And in a drought, the water's already scarce as it is, and rates go up, let alone doubling it just to have desalinated water. There are other sources out there, such as ice on the moon. He also states that NASA in 1994 had an experiment to find that, saying that there was ice, and then they went back in 1998 and decided that the evidence was inconclusive for ice. And then a year later, they shot a little rocket into the moon to try and make a cloud of dust and ice to make sure that there's water. His evidence is 94, 1998, and 99. My evidence is 2009 and 2010 that NASA with geothermal radars found giant polar caps or polar ice caps underneath the moon's surface. So there's massive amounts of ice on there. That is conclusive evidence. He talks about conserving water being enough. No, he also says that I may have contradicted myself. I think my opposition is using a false quote. What I said was conserving water is trying to save water that we don't already have enough of. Basically meaning that we don't have enough water as it is, so we're trying to conserve water, which is valiant efforts. However, conserving water that you don't have enough of is not a new source of water. It will eventually lead to running out of water. It just prolongs the inevitable. So conserving water cannot be used as a new potable source of water. It just doesn't work that way. He talks about water not being essential to life. The human body is 65% water, which I would say water is very crucial to the body. He talks about shelter and food and oxygen. Oxygen and water are the two most important parts of human survival. A dehydrated body won't be able to digest any food eaten. You have to have water in your system already to break down that food. Shelter, humans can go without, certain shelters long enough and they can go without water. According to livescience.com and biology.org, the human body can go no more than 3 to 5 days without water. 3 minutes without oxygen, but 3 to 5 days without water. You can go 2 weeks without food. Water is a crucial part. I'd say probably the number 2 most essential part of human life on Earth. So that is my video.